By the time I was done with my cheating wife's lover, his face was unrecognizable, a swollen, blood-soaked wreck. His groin? A ruined, useless mess. The doctors had no choice but to amputate, leaving him as little more than a broken shell of a man. As for Amanda, I threw that 304 out of my life and had already moved on. Found someone better. Someone worth my time. But just when I thought it was over, someone tried to put me 6 feet under. We'll get to that. But first, let's rewind. Let me tell you how it all began. It wasn't perfume that tipped me off. That would have been too easy. Too obvious. No, it was something else. A scent you don't find in a bottle. The smell of arrogance. The kind that comes from a woman who thinks she's too smart to get caught. Amanda didn't change overnight. It happened gradually, little by little. First, she started dressing up more. No special occasions, no real reason, just tighter jeans, lower-cut tops, makeup that took twice as long to put on. Then came the secrecy. Whispered phone calls, quick texts, sneaking off like she was hiding state secrets. And her excuses? Pathetic. Working late. Girls' night out. My phone died. Lies. All of it. But I let it go. At the time, I had no reason to suspect her. 7 years together. 7 years of marriage. She was my wife. The woman who stood beside me, swore vows before God and the law. Why would she betray me? Then, the final nail in the coffin. I got home from work one evening and noticed her car was gone. Strange, considering she had the day off. I shrugged it off, figuring she was out running errands, and went to take a shower. That's when I saw it, her tablet, sitting on the nightstand, unlocked. Now, I'm not the kind of guy to snoop. I never had a reason to. But something in my gut told me to look. A feeling I couldn't ignore. So I picked it up, and within seconds, my entire world shattered. Messages. Hundreds of them. Amanda, last night was amazing. I can still feel you all over me. You drive me crazy, baby. I can't wait to see you again. Soon. My husband's a clueless idiot. We can do whatever we want. The guy's name was Brandon. My blood ran cold. Clueless idiot? Oh, she had no idea just how wrong she was about that. I kept scrolling, skimming through conversation after conversation. There were dates. Hotel rooms. Even times they'd hooked up in our home while I was at work. And then I saw them, pictures. Photos of Amanda, the woman I had loved, tangled up with another man, doing things that were supposed to be meant for me and me alone. My vision blurred with fury. My hands clenched so hard I thought I might break the damn tablet in half. Every instinct in me screamed to lash out, to destroy something, anything. But I didn't. Not yet. I wasn't about to let my anger make me stupid. I needed proof. So I took screenshots. Every single one. I forwarded them to myself, ensuring there was no way she could talk her way out of this. Then, I placed the tablet back exactly where I found it, like nothing had ever happened. A few minutes later, I heard the front door open. Amanda walked in, dressed to impress, tight jeans, low-cut top, her hair tousled like she'd just been thoroughly entertained. She smiled at me, but I could see right through it. That was the smile of a liar. "Hey, babe," she greeted, walking over to kiss me. I let her. And for the first time, I understood exactly what it felt like to kiss a snake. "How was your day?" she asked, setting her purse down. I forced a grin, keeping my voice steady. "Oh, you know. The usual. Work, meetings, and," I paused, tilting my head. "Catching my wife being a filthy, lying, cheating 304. Amanda froze. Color drained from her face. Her eyes darted around like a cornered animal. What are you talking about?" she stammered. I grabbed my phone, pulled up the screenshots, and shoved the screen in her face. "What the hell is this, Amanda?" My voice was calm, too calm. The kind of calm that comes before a storm. She gasped, slapping a hand over her mouth. "Where did you get that?" I scoffed. "Where do you think?" I stared her down, waiting. "So?" I asked, my voice laced with ice. "Are you gonna lie again? Tell me this is a joke? That these messages are fake? Because I swear, Amanda, if you insult my intelligence one more time, I'll make sure Brandon never walks again." For a moment, she hesitated. And then, just like that, the fear in her eyes vanished. Instead, she smirked. Smirked. "Oh, please," she scoffed, crossing her arms. "What? You're mad because I found someone better? Someone who actually satisfies me? Maybe if you weren't such a dull, lifeless husband, I wouldn't have needed to find excitement elsewhere." I saw red. Before I even realized what I was doing, my fist had slammed through the coffee table. The glass exploded on impact, shards embedding into my knuckles, but I didn't feel a damn thing. Amanda flinched, stepping back, but even then, she had the audacity to roll her eyes. "Pathetic," she sneered. "You're not gonna do anything. You're too much of a soft, spineless idiot to actually leave me. That's why I've been cheating on you for months. Because you don't have the balls to be a real man." My chest rose and fell in sharp, ragged breaths. My fists were clenched so tight they shook. She thought I wouldn't do anything? That she could spit in my face, mock me, and walk away without consequences? Oh, Amanda. You have no idea who you just betrayed. To be continued? Amanda's smirk lingered, taunting me, daring me to lose control. My heart pounded in my chest like a war drum. Every inch of me burned with rage, but my mind? My mind was ice cold. I wasn't going to yell. I wasn't going to beg. And I damn sure wasn't going to ask why. That's what weak men did. No, I was going to make sure she regretted this for the rest of her miserable life. "So," I said, my voice unsettlingly calm. "Who is he? This better man of yours?" Amanda scoffed, rolling her eyes like I was nothing more than a child throwing a tantrum. "Why? You planning to fight for me? That's adorable." I took a slow, deliberate step toward her. And for the first time, I saw something flicker in her eyes. Uncertainty. "Answer the question," I said, my tone sharper now. She sighed dramatically, like she was bored of the conversation. "Fine. His name's Brandon. He's bigger than you. Stronger than you. Better than you." She smirked, tilting her head. "And unlike you, he actually knows how to satisfy a woman." My jaw clenched so hard I thought my teeth might crack. "Where is he now?" My voice was dangerously steady. Amanda grinned, that nasty, condescending grin of hers. "Why? You want to meet him?" That was all I needed. I snatched her phone off the counter before she could react and pressed her finger against the scanner to unlock it. She shrieked, lunging for it, but I shoved her away like an annoying fly. "What the hell, Jake?" she screamed, trying again to snatch it back. I ignored her, my eyes scanning through her messages until I found exactly what I was looking for. "Brandon. Meet me at the apartment in 30 minutes. My idiot husband still doesn't suspect a thing." 30 minutes? I checked the time. He was already there. Perfect. I grabbed my keys and stormed toward the door. "Where the hell are you going?" Amanda shouted. I paused just long enough to look at her, really look at her. The woman I had once loved. The woman I had planned a future with. I'm going to have a little chat with your better man. For the first time that night, Amanda's face drained of color. Jake, don't. I slammed the door in her face. The drive to the apartment was a blur. I barely registered running 2 red lights, barely noticed my grip strangling the steering wheel. The only thing in my head was Brandon. I wasn't just going to confront him. I was going to ruin him. When I arrived, I found the apartment easily. Amanda was careless enough to let me see the address in their texts. I didn't knock. I didn't hesitate. I kicked the door open. Brandon barely had time to process what was happening before my fist crashed into his jaw, sending him sprawling to the ground. Good. He wasn't expecting me. I slammed the door shut behind me and locked it. No interruptions. No escape. You must be Brandon, I said, cracking my knuckles. He groaned, pushing himself up onto his elbows. He was big, just like Amanda said. Tall, muscular, built like a guy who spent more time flexing in the gym mirror than actually working out. Didn't matter. His strength was for show. Mine wasn't. What the hell, man? He spat, touching his busted lip. I smiled. You've been screwing my wife. His eyes widened. Wait, what? I didn't give him a chance to lie. My fist connected with his face again, harder this time. He let out a strangled yell, stumbling back, but I grabbed him by the collar and drove my knee into his stomach. He doubled over, wheezing. And I wasn't even close to being done that I didn't stop. Fist after fist, I kept swinging, each punch carrying the weight of months of lies, the sting of betrayal, and the image of Amanda's smug, taunting face burned into my memory. I hit until I felt his nose crunch under my knuckles, until his eyes were swollen shut, until his breath came in weak, ragged gasps. He whimpered, helpless, broken. Good. Then I spotted the lamp on the table. Without hesitation, I grabbed it, lifted it high, and swung. Crack. The impact sent him crumpling to the floor, twitching, his body barely responsive. His face? A bloodied, misshapen mess. Almost unrecognizable. But I wasn't finished. I stepped closer, towering over the pathetic excuse of a man who thought he could take what was mine. Then, I lifted my boot. And stomped. Brandon let out a single, agonized scream. Then another. And then, silence. I didn't stop until there was nothing left of him below the waist, just a pulpy, ruined mass of flesh and bone. By the time I stepped back, his body convulsed, a wet, gurgling sound slipping from his lips. He wasn't a man anymore. Just a broken, trembling shell. I exhaled, wiping sweat from my forehead. You took something from me, I murmured, my voice eerily calm. So I took something from you. And then I left. When I got home, Amanda was pacing in the living room, her arms wrapped tightly around herself. The moment she saw me, her face twisted with pure panic. Oh my God, Jake, what did you? I didn't answer. I just pulled her phone from my pocket and tossed it at her feet. Brandon won't be seeing you again. She froze. Her eyes flicked from the phone to my blood-stained knuckles. And for the first time since this nightmare started, I saw it, fear. And that? That was the best feeling in the world. She swallowed hard. You wouldn't. I took a slow, deliberate step forward. She instinctively took a step back. You think I'm weak, Amanda? I whispered, my voice razor-sharp. You really thought I'd just sit back and take this? Let you humiliate me and do nothing? She opened her mouth, but no words came out. I leaned in, lowering my voice to a chilling whisper. He won't be walking. Ever. Again. Amanda gasped, her hands flying to her mouth. Jake, You're a monster. I laughed. Actually laughed. I'm your monster, I said. And guess what? You're next. The color drained from her face. That fake confidence she had been clinging to? It crumbled in an instant. Her lips parted, but nothing came out. For once, she was speechless. Good. She should be afraid. You're lying, she whispered, glancing again at my hands, my clothes, the evidence smeared in blood. I met her gaze, my voice flat. I would. I let the words hang. And I did. Her breathing quickened. Panic crept into her eyes. She was finally realizing that this wasn't some petty fight. This wasn't one of her twisted little games. The man standing in front of her wasn't the fool she had been playing for months. No. I was someone else now. She took another step back. You're insane, she whispered. I should call the police. I took a slow, deliberate step toward her. Go ahead. She hesitated, eyes flicking toward her phone. I chuckled. Yeah. That's what I thought. You won't do it. You know why? Silence. Because if you call them, you have to admit to everything. I tilted my head slightly, letting the weight of my words sink in. Admit to cheating. Admit that your little boyfriend won't ever be able to touch another woman again. Admit that you pushed me to this. Amanda trembled, her lip quivering. I let the silence suffocate her before finally stepping back. I'm leaving, I said, my voice colder than ice. Her mouth opened slightly. A plea? A last-ditch effort? I didn't care. And you? I added, my tone razor sharp. You're nothing to me now. I turned and walked toward the bedroom. She called after me. I ignored her. I needed to pack. Jake, wait. She grabbed my arm. I ripped it away. Don't touch me. She flinched, stepping back like I had struck her. I yanked open the closet, grabbed a suitcase, and started throwing in everything I needed, clothes, documents, valuables. Anything worth keeping. Everything else? She could rot with it. Amanda stood there, silent. But then, something shifted. The fear melted away. And that nasty, smug smirk returned. Oh, you think you're leaving? She scoffed, arms crossing over her chest. No, Jake. I don't think so. I kept packing. You're not going anywhere, she hissed, her voice laced with venom. She folded her arms, tilting her chin up like she still had the upper hand. You think I care that you beat the hell out of Brandon? Please. I'll have another man in my bed by the end of the week. I zipped my suitcase without looking at her. Not giving her the reaction she wanted. She sneered. And when I do, I'll make sure he's better than you in every possible way. I stayed silent. Wouldn't give her the satisfaction of seeing me flinch. But then, she took it further. You know what, Jake, she spat, her eyes flashing with cruelty. I never even loved you. You were just convenient. A paycheck. A boring, predictable husband. I've been cheating for years, and you never even noticed. God, you're pathetic. I stopped. Slowly, I turned to face her. She had a smug look, like she had just landed the final blow. Like she had won. But that look disappeared the second I smiled. Good, I said simply. Then you'll have no problem signing the divorce papers. Her expression twisted. Wait, what? I pulled out my phone and started dialing. Her eyes narrowed. Who are you calling? My lawyer. And just like that, she was the one panicking. You're joking. I pressed the call button. Wait. She lunged at me, reaching for my phone, but I sidestepped her easily. The line rang. Jake, wait. Let's talk about this. I raised an eyebrow. Why? Does that change the betrayal? Her mouth snapped shut. Exactly. Hey, Mark, I said when my lawyer picked up. Yeah. It's time. File the divorce. Amanda let out a strangled noise. Jake, no, wait. I ignored her, nodding as Mark asked me a few questions. No, I don't want to negotiate. I want everything I'm entitled to. The house, the car, my money, everything. Amanda made a choked sound. No. You can't do that. I smirked. Oh, but I can. Her confidence shattered in an instant. Jake, please, she whispered, reaching for my arm again. I didn't mean it. I was just mad. You can't leave me like this. I pulled away with a quiet, steady voice. You should have thought about that before you threw away everything we had. Then, I hung up the phone. I grabbed my suitcase and walked toward the door. She didn't try to stop me this time. She just stood there, frozen, watching as her perfect little world came crashing down around her. But I wasn't done yet. Amanda thought she could destroy me. She had no idea what was coming next. I didn't look back. As I stepped out of that house, no, that prison, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long, long time. Freedom. The weight of betrayal still sat heavy in my chest, but with every step I took away from Amanda, I felt lighter. Stronger. She thought she had broken me. She had no idea. I tossed my suitcase into the back seat of my car and pulled out my phone. First call. Mark again. Speed up the process, I told him. I want her out of my house as soon as legally possible. Mark chuckled, low and sharp. Got it. I'll make sure she walks away with nothing. Good. That was the bare minimum of what she deserved. Next, I called the locksmith. Change every lock in the house. Now. Then, the bank. Cancel every joint account. Move all my money into a personal one. Amanda wasn't just losing me. She was losing the life she built off my back. By the time I was done making calls, exhaustion crept over me, mental, physical, emotional. I needed a place to crash. So, I drove straight to my best friend Mike's house. The second he opened the door and saw my face, his expression darkened. Dude. What the hell happened? I walked past him, dropped onto his couch, and exhaled. Amanda. That's what happened. Mike didn't ask questions. Didn't push. He just grabbed 2 beers from the fridge, handed me one, and sat down. Tell me everything. So, I did. I told him about the affair. The messages. The smirk on Amanda's face. I told him about Brandon. About how I left him a broken, useless wreck of a man. About how I walked away from Amanda without a single regret. Mike let out a low whistle. Damn. That's one way to put it. I took a long sip of beer, the cold liquid doing nothing to put out the fire still burning inside me. Mike shook his head. She always seemed fake to me. Guess I was right. I clenched my jaw. I should have seen it sooner. Mike nodded, his expression grim. You see it now. That's what matters. I exhaled, running a hand through my hair. He was right. I had already wasted enough time on Amanda. I wasn't going to waste another damn second. Or so I thought. Because just when I believed this nightmare was over, someone tried to kill me. It happened the very next night. Mike had convinced me to get out of the house, grab some food, clear my head. You need it, man, he had said. One night out. That's it. Fine. Whatever. I agreed. We went to a small diner, ordered burgers, and for the first time in what felt like forever, I felt normal. No drama, no betrayal, no Amanda. Just two guys eating greasy food and talking about anything but the disaster my life had become. Then we walked back to my car. And the moment my hand reached for the door handle. Bang! The sharp crack of a gunshot split the night air. I hit the ground instinctively as a bullet whizzed past my head, shattering my driver's side window. Mike shouted, diving behind the car with me. What the hell? I didn't answer. My mind was already racing. Someone just tried to put a bullet in my skull. I peeked over the hood, scanning the empty street. Nothing. No movement, no figure lurking in the shadows. Whoever fired that shot was either a piss-poor marksman or wanted to send a message. And I had a damn good idea of who was behind it. Amanda. Or, more likely, someone she sent after me. My hands were still shaking from the adrenaline when I grabbed my phone and called her. She picked up after 2 rings. Jake? Her voice was all fake concern, coated in saccharine innocence. A lie. You crazy bitch, I growled. Who did you send after me? Silence. Then. I don't know what you're talking about. Liar. Someone just tried to kill me, I snapped. So either your little boyfriend's gone rogue, or you're even dumber than I thought. She let out a dramatic sigh, as if I was inconveniencing her. Jake, I don't know anything about that. I didn't believe her for a second. But I needed proof. If she was involved, I had to make her slip up. So I played it smart. Fine, I said, forcing my voice to steady. I guess the cops will figure it out. That got a reaction. Wait, she blurted out, suddenly on edge. You're calling the cops? I smiled. Gotcha. Of course, I said smoothly. An attempted murder? They're going to investigate everyone connected to me. My wife. My soon-to-be ex-wife. Her boyfriends. Amanda fell silent. Too silent. Then, click. She hung up. I turned to Mike. She's behind this. He swore under his breath. Dude, you need to leave town. At least until we figure this out. I nodded. He was right. Again. But I wasn't just leaving. I was going to bury Amanda. She wanted me dead. She should have made damn sure the shooter didn't miss. Because I wasn't the kind of man to run. Amanda thought she could scare me? That she could send some coward to take me out, and I'd just disappear? No. She wanted war. She was about to get one. Mike and I sped back to his house, both of us on edge. I kept checking the rearview mirror, half expecting some blacked-out SUV to come roaring up behind us. You need a gun, Mike said, his voice tight. Whoever did this isn't playing games. I clenched my jaw. He was right. This wasn't over. We got back to his house, locked the doors, closed the blinds. Mike disappeared into his bedroom and returned a minute later, tossing something onto the coffee table. A black Glock 19. I picked it up, feeling the cold steel in my hands. You ever shot one before? He asked. I nodded. My old man taught me. Good, he said, sitting down across from me. Because if Amanda really sent someone after you, they're gonna try again. I stared at the gun, my pulse steady now. No hesitation. No fear. If they came back, I'd be ready. But first, I needed to set a trap. I pulled out my phone and typed out a message. We need to talk. Face to face. No cops. Just us. Her reply came instantly. Where? I smirked. Hook, line, and sinker. Our house. Midnight. I could feel her hesitation through the screen. She was second-guessing this. Wondering if I was setting her up. If I was luring her into something. She had no idea just how right she was. After a few minutes, a single-word reply appeared. Fine. Mike let out a low whistle. Damn. You sure about this? I didn't hesitate. I don't need to be sure, I muttered. I just need to end this. The Last Supper. At 11:30 p.m., I pulled up a block away from the house. I wasn't stupid enough to go in blind. For 10 minutes, I sat in my car, watching. No movement. No unfamiliar cars parked nearby. No masked figures lurking in the shadows. So far, so good. I walked up to my front door, unlocking it with the fresh set of keys I'd had made. The house felt different now. Cold. Empty. Amanda's perfume still lingered in the air, tainted with something else, something sour. The smell of betrayal. I went to the kitchen, pulled out a bottle of whiskey, and poured myself a glass. If this was going to be our final conversation, I might as well enjoy it. Midnight arrived. And so did Amanda. The front door creaked open, and she stepped inside like she still owned the place. Like she wasn't a lying, cheating, backstabbing 304. I leaned against the kitchen counter, swirling my drink. Took you long enough. She shut the door and crossed her arms, her expression guarded. What do you want, Jake? I raised an eyebrow. You sure you don't already know? She scoffed. You're the one who wanted to talk. So talk. I took a slow sip, then set my glass down and pulled out my phone. And pressed play. A voice filled the room. Amanda's voice. Jake, no, wait. Who did you send after me? Wait, you're calling the cops? Her face drained of color. I smirked. You really should learn to keep your mouth shut. I set the phone on the counter. Her hands curled into fists. You recorded me? Of course I did, I said smoothly. You tried to have me killed. That's attempted murder, sweetheart. I tapped the phone. And this? This is proof. Amanda's eyes flicked toward the front door. I smiled. Go ahead. Run. But it won't matter. By the time you step outside, that recording will already be in my lawyer's hands. Her chest rose and fell in shaky breaths. Jake, please. I took another sip of whiskey. Please what? She took a hesitant step closer, her expression softening. Please, don't do this. I stared at her. The same woman who had smirked in my face. Who had lied, cheated, and betrayed me without a second thought. And now? Now she was begging. It was pathetic. I set my drink down and walked toward her, closing the distance until I was inches from her face. For the first time, I saw it, fear. You tried to take my life, I murmured. Now, I'm going to take yours. She gasped as I grabbed her wrist and twisted it behind her back, spinning her toward the counter. She shrieked, struggling, but I leaned in close, my voice a whisper in her ear. You lose, Amanda. Then, I shoved her away and grabbed my phone. I pressed send. Just like that, the recording was in my lawyer's hands. Amanda's breath came in ragged gasps. She knew exactly what I had just done. Her lips curled into a snarl. You ruined my life, she hissed. I smiled. No. You ruined mine. I just returned the favor. I walked to the door, opened it, and turned back one last time. Her face was twisted with rage, panic, pure, desperate hatred. And I loved every second of it. I stepped outside, letting the cold night air wash over me. Tomorrow, the cops would come knocking. Tomorrow, Amanda's perfect little world would burn. And me? I'd finally be free. I barely slept that night. Not because I was scared. Not because I was second-guessing my decisions. No. I was awake because, for the first time in months, I felt peace. Amanda wasn't going to weasel her way out of this one. No more lies. No more gaslighting. No more games. She had been checkmated. Now, all I had to do was sit back and wait for the police to finish what I started. The arrest, the fall of Amanda. The sun had barely cracked the horizon when the first call came in. Amanda. I smirked and let it ring. She called again. And again. And again. By the fourth attempt, I finally answered. Her voice was frantic, dripping with sheer panic. Jake, you need to stop this. Please. The cops are coming, I'll lose everything. I leaned back in my chair, letting her desperation wash over me like a well-earned victory. That's the idea. You don't have to do this, she begged. We can talk. We can fix this. I almost laughed. Fix this? I took my time before answering. I wanted her to stew in that silence. Amanda, I said slowly, deliberately. If you were smart, you'd be hiring a lawyer right now instead of wasting time calling me. Then came the tears. Fake. I knew that sobbing all too well, the same performance she'd used every time she got caught in a lie. The same crocodile tears she had probably shed for Brandon, right before his body got turned into a useless pile of flesh. Jake, she whimpered. I didn't want this. I didn't want to lose you. I let the silence stretch, savoring the moment. Then, I said the one thing I knew she couldn't handle. But I wanted to lose you. She sucked in a sharp breath. Bingo. I hung up. The arrest. 2 hours later, Mike and I sat in his living room, eyes locked on the television. The best news I'd ever seen rolled across the screen. Breaking news, local woman arrested in connection to murder-for-hire attempt. Then, Amanda's mugshot appeared. Mascara streaked down her face, her eyes red and wild, her lips twisted in sheer fury. She looked ruined. And I loved every second of it. Mike let out a low whistle. Damn, dude. You actually did it. I smirked. No, she did it. I just made sure everyone knew. Amanda had always thought she was untouchable. That she could lie, cheat, manipulate, and never face consequences. Not anymore. The cops weren't just arresting her. They were charging her with conspiracy to commit murder. Thanks to the recording, she was screwed. But the real cherry on top. I still had her text messages. And those weren't just proof. They were evidence. Enough to ensure that Amanda wouldn't just be arrested, she'd be convicted. The revenge ain't over. Amanda was going to rot in jail. But that wasn't enough. I didn't just want her behind bars. I wanted to erase her. Her entire identity was built on two things, her status and her looks. So, I was going to burn both to the ground. Step 1, her reputation. I leaked everything. Every smug text she sent to Brandon. Every disgusting confession she made. Every single piece of proof that exposed her for the soulless creature she truly was. I sent it to everyone. Her family. Her coworkers. Her friends. By the time I was done, her entire life was in flames. Step 2, divorce court, the final nail in her coffin. Amanda thought she could take everything from me. She thought she could cheat, lie, and then walk away with half my money. Not a chance. By the time my lawyer was done with her, she was left with nothing. No alimony. No house. No car. Everything she had came from me. And now? Now, she was about to lose it all. The last time I saw her. The last time I laid eyes on Amanda was in the courtroom. She was a wreck. Her once perfect hair was a tangled mess. Her manicured nails were chipped and uneven. Her confidence? Her arrogance? That shield she used to wear so proudly? Gone. She wouldn't even look at me. Good. Because I was done looking at her. The new beginning. It's funny. A month ago, I thought my life was over. That I'd never recover from what she did to me. Now, I was free. I had my house. I had my money. I had a new woman, one who wasn't a backstabbing 304. And most importantly, I had justice. Amanda wasn't just gone from my life. She was erased. And that's exactly where she belonged. In the past. Where all worthless trash belongs. I thought it was over. Amanda was locked away, rotting in a jail cell. Her name had become poison in every social circle she once worshipped. She had no money, no allies, no future. She was finished. Or so I thought. The return of Amanda. Or so I thought. Because exactly 1 week after I'd won, after I had buried Amanda in the past where she belonged, I got a message that made my blood turn to ice. Unknown number, you think this is over? I stared at the screen. The number wasn't saved. The area code was local. I didn't recognize it. But I recognized the tone. Amanda. I grinned, shaking my head. This dumbass. I immediately called Mark, my lawyer. She's breaking the restraining order. Mark sighed on the other end. That didn't take long. What happens now? I asked. She's still in jail, right? Yeah. Then she either got someone to sneak her a burner phone or she's got a friend doing her dirty work. I almost laughed. A friend? Amanda has friends left? Doesn't matter, Mark said. Don't respond. We'll track the number, add another charge to her case, and keep you updated. I hung up and stared at the screen. She was behind bars, yet she was still trying to crawl back into my life. Pathetic. I deleted the message and moved on. I had better things to do. A new life. A month passed. Amanda was officially convicted. 5 years behind bars. A felony on her record. No future. No hope. And me? I had moved on. Her name never crossed my mind. Her face never haunted my dreams. And best of all, I wasn't alone. Because I had someone new. Sarah. She was everything Amanda wasn't. Loyal. Kind. Real. When I told her my story, she didn't flinch. She didn't pity me. She just took my hand and said, "That woman never deserved you." Damn right, she didn't. For the first time in years, I was happy. Truly, finally happy. But happiness has a way of being short-lived. Because just when I thought I was free, Amanda came back. The night everything went to hell. It started with footsteps. I was at home, the house I kicked Amanda out of, watching a movie with Sarah when I heard it. Soft. Slow. Just outside the window. I paused the movie. Sarah frowned. What's wrong? I held up a hand. Listen. For a moment, there was nothing. Just silence. Then. Tap. 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 On the glass. Sarah's eyes widened. I stood up, grabbed the Glock I now kept within reach, and moved toward the window. My heartbeat was steady. My hands didn't shake. I wasn't afraid. I was ready. I yanked back the curtain. And froze. Standing in the dark, just beyond the glass, was Amanda. Her hair was a mess. Her eyes were wild. She looked completely unhinged. But what made my skin crawl? What made my blood run cold? Was the smile on her face. I unlocked the window and slid it open just an inch. "What the F*** K are you doing here?" I hissed. Amanda tilted her head, smirking. "Miss me?" My grip on the gun tightened. "You're supposed to be in prison," I growled. She giggled. Giggled. Like this was a game. "I got out early," she sang. "Good behavior." Bullsh****. There was no way she got out in a month. Which meant she escaped. Before I could speak, she leaned forward, her eyes glinting. "I saw your little girlfriend," she whispered. My blood turned to ice. "Sarah." I spun around. She was already standing, her face pale, her hands trembling. Amanda grinned. "She's pretty," she mused. "Almost as pretty as me." That was it. I unlocked the window, grabbed Amanda by the collar, and yanked her inside. She shrieked, stumbling forward. But before she could regain her balance, I slammed her against the wall. Sarah gasped. "Jake." "Call the cops," I growled. Amanda laughed. Like a woman who had already lost everything and didn't care. "Go ahead," she purred. "Call them. I'll be gone before they get here." She grinned. Like she thought she was in control. Like she thought she was still calling the shots. I pressed the gun to her stomach. "You sure about that?" She went still. And then, for the first time ever, I saw it. Fear. Real. Pure. Undeniable. She knew. She knew. This wasn't a game anymore. This was survival. I leaned in. "You broke into my house," I whispered. "You stalked me. You threatened the woman I care about." Amanda's breath hitched. I leaned in closer. "If I pull this trigger," I murmured, "no one will blame me." Silence. Then her lips parted. "To be continued, the final hunt." She was about to say something, maybe another lie, maybe a desperate plea, when boom! The front door exploded inward. Sarah screamed. Before I could even turn, two men in ski masks charged in, guns raised. Amanda smirked. I barely had time to process before. Bang! A gunshot split the air. Pain ripped through my shoulder. I staggered back, my vision swimming. Amanda shoved me aside and bolted for the door. The two masked men turned their guns on me. But they were too late. I was already pulling the trigger. Pain tore through my body, but I didn't stop. Amanda and her masked goons thought they had the upper hand? Wrong. Bang. Bang. My shots tore into the first guy's chest. Blood splattered the walls as he crumpled, his gun clattering to the floor. The second guy lunged, too close for another shot. So I did what I had to do. I swung the Glock like a hammer, the butt of it smashing into his jaw. Crack. His head snapped back. He stumbled. I tackled him, driving my knee into his ribs before slamming his skull into the floor. Hard. He stopped moving. 2 down. Now for Amanda. I whirled. But she was gone. The front door swung open, creaking in the wind. Footsteps pounded down the street. Amanda was running. Not this time. The last hunt. My shoulder bled, my body screamed in pain, but I pushed forward. Sarah called after me, but I didn't stop. I couldn't stop. Amanda had gotten away too many times. Not anymore. I sprinted down the street, my vision locked onto her. She was fast. But fear made me faster. She darted into an alley. Big mistake. I followed, gun raised. She skidded to a stop at a chain-link fence, panting, eyes wild. Trapped. I slowed my steps, my breath steady, my aim true. Amanda turned, her face twisting in fury. You wouldn't. I smirked. Try me. She lunged, desperate, nails clawing at my face. Bang. The shot ripped through her leg. She screamed, collapsing onto the pavement. I stood over her, watching her writhe in pain. For years, she had played me. Lied. Cheated. Tried to have me killed. And now? Now, she was nothing. You're done, Amanda, I said quietly. Her breaths were shallow, her eyes glassy. Defeated. In the distance, sirens wailed. Sarah had called the cops. This time, there was no escape. Amanda let out a broken laugh, her voice barely above a whisper. I should have killed you when I had the chance. I crouched down beside her, my gun still warm in my hand. Yeah. I said. You should have. Then I stood up. And walked away. The end of a 304. Amanda was arrested on the spot. This time, there was no trial. No plea deal. Nothing. Her charges? Murder for hire. Assault. Attempted murder. Breaking out of prison. It sealed her fate. Life. No parole. She would never see the outside world again. And me? I healed. Not just from the gunshot. From everything. Amanda had tried to destroy me. Instead, she set me free. Sarah and I moved to a new city, started fresh. No ghosts. No betrayals. Just peace. Amanda was gone. And I? I had one.